Today I'm going to be replacing a Rochester carburetor with another Rochester carburetor that's been rebuilt. And what happened on my old Rochester is it could stick WFO, and so I can't allow anybody else to drive it. So also the secondaries on this carburetor that's on here right now do not work. This is a 1978 Chevrolet 350 C20. This vacuum hose right here goes to the vacuum gauge, which I mounted in the dash external so I could see if I was getting gas from the pump. I don't normally just drive this all the time. So this carburetor system, it came with a divorced choke on it. Had a little heating coil that went down on this side, and it rusted out. I'm going to go back with a manual choke, which was probably going to be harder to do to install that than it will be this carburetor. You can see here where I added extra springs to try to get it to return. Release this bolt, this bolt. There's two back here. They're 1/2 inch. This right here, this pump, fuel pump, it quit working a few years ago. Like I said, I knew I was going to replace it. Uh-oh. That's antifreeze. Okay, there it is. Let's see if I can keep from losing this little clip here. Yeah? Okay. This booster looks like it's 5/8. Should have got this loose before I did anything else. Alright. This right here was the problem. I didn't hear that. Alright, we're ready to go back with it. Here's the new one. I got this from Michael Crowley. He sent me a gasket for the breather. Alright, so we're like this. I gotta put the brake booster back in here. I'm gonna call that good there. I'm gonna leave that loose until I get it installed. So what we're looking at now is this. I need to get this out. That's funny. This one had a port here. This is the PVC. This is a port that doesn't exist on this one. This is a 77 model, and I believe this is like a 72. I'd have to look it up. This is the new filter. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in. So we'll have two filters. So this one should never get dirty. Alright, the throttle's hooked up. Springs are hooked up. The brake booster line, I'm going to take it underneath the throttle cable. Tell you what, General Motors put the hood latch right where your belly button would be. It's just easier just to crawl up in here if you're not too big. fuel line, that's a little bit big, but we'll go with it. But I got this carburetor from New York, Rosedale, New York, Michael Crowley. He had a pretty high rating on eBay. Alright, this right here. I did that so I wouldn't lose. I took a little pair of little cheap vice grips and we just cut some little pieces of flat metal, put it on there, and I use these a lot of times to clamp off fuel lines or vacuum lines. So I ran into my first problem, or challenge I should say. This carburetor does not have a port right there. All I have is this port. This is a ported vacuum right here. It's above the manifold. So I may have to connect it here. I'm not sure it should be manifold vacuum or ported vacuum. Now if you're an old guy, you probably know what this is. And this right here didn't really have my carburetor, and I looked through here to find out about the time in advance, the vacuum for the time in advance, but really wasn't any help. Anyway, this is Chilton's. It goes all the way to 1976. So if you're a young guy and you see one of these in an estate sale, buy it. I'm going to go with ported. I'll have to tee in right here. I'm not going to fuss with it too much right now because in case I get this wrong. Okay. So now we've got distributor hooked up. So this is where the PCV goes. I think I'm saying that right. But instead of this, I'm going to hook a vacuum gauge here and see what we're doing and crank this dude up. So I'm going to the port, the manifold port, which the PCV connects to, right down here at the bottom. And I think this is a good time to say, if you're looking for direction on how to work on a Rochester, then I'm not the guy. But if you're a farmer that wants to try to tackle this without paying somebody, then maybe you got the right channel. So this is a vacuum gauge here. We got it on the manifold, and what I'm going to do with this is set the maximum vacuum. If not, I set it by just listening to the engine. So what I'm going to have to try to do now is see if it'll start, let it warm up a tad, and then we'll start adjusting and tuning. Anyway, let's start this dude and see what happens. A little bit of blow by there. Alright, we're warmed up. And we're drawing 16, 17. About 17 and a half. So I'm going to go in with it. There's 18. I'm going in with it. Oh, it fell off there. All right, so I'm going to come back open. Coming back. That's a half a turn. All right, we're back at 18. All right, you hear it fall off. It's 17 and a half. Now I'm going to come back open. there. It's closing in on 19. So that's the air fuel mixture right there. All right, all the tools are picked up. Well, I see something I didn't get out of there. Why you got to do a quality check? All right. I believe I got everything out of here. There's the vacuum gauge. Alright, we're in second. I can already tell it's running better than it has. We're going to get it up to speed here and see if the 4-barrel opens. I had a buddy, his name was Griff. Boy, he could adjust the carburetor. I mean, right now, get it right every time. Here we go. It's a little scary because it used to hang wide open. Oh yeah, I hear it. 80. Whew. That's not bad right there. Alright. Turn it around, try it one more time. I'm about to turn around here and my idles come up. See if I can zoom in there. I had it about 750. It's just a tad over 1,000 right now, so I need to bring that back down. My headers are leaking a little bit, so I get some backfiring from my exhaust manifold. Go back and put the choke in now. We'll pull it back up in here and see if we got any, like a big oily mess under there. Looks okay. I might need to check my radiator fluid. I hear it gurgling. Let's get on with the choke now. I got to looking at what it's going to take to connect to that with the manual choke. There's nothing really there to connect to. I'd have to make some levers, some pivots. So I decided to go with electric choke. And what I've got to do now is see if I can clean that pedestal right there that's on the intake. See if I can get it clean enough to get a bolt in it to hold this new assembly. So in putting this in, I had to tap the intake, and you have to put this little clip in on this rod right here. The rod comes in from the back side of that choke mechanism there. The next thing I got to install would be this sensor here. The sensor will pick up the heat of the engine. I think what I'm going to do is install it here on this alternator bracket. Oh, it says to clean it well before you install it, so it'll make a good contact. So I can do that too. Connect to the wire that's hot when the ignition's on. There's all sorts of chaos coming off this firewall. Here's a bare wire that It was probably some previous project. Tell me if it's red. Alright, that's gonna work. Alright, we got it all wired in. I'm gonna start it up and watch this choke perform. So this should open slightly, just pull off, and then slowly open up. Okay, after I put the choke in, we got a little problem. There's an overflow of gas coming up around the primer here, and some back here on the back. I called Michael, the guy that sold it to me on eBay. He recommended many things, but one of the easiest things would be tap this. He thinks there's debris in there on the needles. So tap this as I work the throttle back and forth. So I'm going to try that now.
Float bowl action. Hey, here's my glass. Look at that. That's all the fuel it takes. So anyway, here, watch. Fuel comes into the carb. There you go. See the float rise up? That's pretty much a setting. You can see the float goes up and down like a toilet, pushes down on the needle and seat, shuts off the fuel. So the fuel comes in, comes through the needle and seat. That's that little silver peg you can see inside that brass. Pushes that up, fuel dumps in. As the fuel dumps in, it raises the float, which pivots, pushes that down. So it's constantly, as you use gas, the float goes down, it lets gas in. So it keeps that equilibrium. But that's all it is. That's all it is. 4 tablespoons, which is a quarter of a cup, which is 2 ounces, which is 60 milliliters of fuel. A very tiny amount of fuel. You can see that would evaporate if you haven't been using the car for weeks on end. So, tiny bowl, but very efficient.